Frank Woods is one of the most iconic characters in the Call of Duty universe, especially in the Black Ops series. He's an experienced Marine. His life story is one of sacrifice, resilience, and bravery as he fights through some of the most dangerous conflicts of the 20th century. Woods was born on March 20th, 1930 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and he grew up in a tough environment. He developed a no-nonsense attitude that carried him throughout his military career and later his CIA career. He enlisted in the Marine Corps. He served in the Korean War, and like we mentioned, he was recruited into the CIA Special Activities Division, where he partnered up with Alex Mason, who would become like a brother to him. In the original Black Ops game, we see Woods as a central figure to the narrative. He accompanied Mason on missions in Vietnam, Laos, and other Cold War hotspots. One of his defining moments occurs during a mission in Laos, where he sacrificed himself, at least we think so, to save Mason by tackling General Kravchenko, who had the upper hand on him. Woods' story would continue, however, in Black Ops 2, where he is found imprisoned in a POW camp by Raul Menendez, the game's primary antagonist. Rescued by Alex Mason, they would fight together to capture Menendez. And throughout the series, Woods would become characterized by his dry humor, rugged toughness, and deep sense of loyalty to his friends. Despite enduring immense physical and emotional hardships, Woods would remain committed to his country and his teammates. And we know that Frank Woods has cemented his legacy as one of the most beloved characters in the entire Call of Duty franchise. His presence in the series not only provides a human element to the larger conflicts around him, but also highlights the personal cost of war on those who fight it. And that particular sentence is the main topic of conversation for today's video. I was playing Call of Duty Black Ops 6, and there was a mission right before we headed to meet Russell Adler in Q8, and the whole team has to move quickly to Q8 to see if they can capture a scientist that works for Pantheon. Everybody starts packing, everybody starts leaving, and we get control of Case, our character player. While everyone's packing, we're looking around, we can go do whatever we want, go talk to some people before the mission begins. And we go and talk to Woods, and I find Woods sitting in his chair with a beer and watching the news, watching TV. And you get to talk to him a little bit, and he talks to you about, what he plans on doing, what he wants to do for David Mason now that Alex Mason is gone, and he's just talking a little bit about his feelings at the time. And it is one of the saddest moments in the game, at least for me. You see Frank Woods and you envision him as this badass warrior who probably would have wanted to die on the battlefield rather than of old age crippled. I think that's what that character would have wanted. I mean, knowing him and how dedicated he was to what he did. So talking to him in that moment really shows the true price of war sometimes. The things that these characters are dealing with. Sometimes we view these characters as heroes. Like Frank Woods, we can view him as a hero, as a warrior for good, as a man with a good moral compass, as a man who made mistakes but tried to do better. We can see him and humanize him and love what he does for his country and fighting for his people. We see that. We see the love that he has. But then we take a look at everything that happened to him because of it. The sacrifices that he had to make. He probably sacrificed his home life, sacrificed years away from his actual family, sacrificed his best friend, brother in Alex Mason by accidentally killing him. That's what the war took from him. And then not only that, but the war also took his legs. He was maimed by Raul Menendez and left alive for an entire life of suffering. And now he's about the same age as Adler. I think he's maybe 3 years older than Russell Adler. And Russell Adler looks like he's in his prime, moving around, taking on missions, taking on bad guys. Don't you think that Frank Woods would want to be out there doing that shit, getting in the field, getting dirty, taking heads? Don't you think he would love to do that? And it is one of the saddest things in the entire game, and nobody mentions it, seeing him have to sit there with a beer in his hand watching the news while everyone around him gets ready. And you can give him his new roles and these new things to do, but you know that the character Woods is dying inside. You know that he can't believe it. He's probably itching at the fact that he cannot go out there with his people and serve and do what he needs to do. Because physically upwards, like from the torso up, he still looks in good shape. When Jane Hero's thugs came in and tried to take him down, the Pantheon group, he was able to pull out the shotgun and fight back a little bit. He wants to do that, And having that conversation with him in the game, it made me pause for a second. It made me think. And as I was leaving, I turn around and I look at Woods, and he's just sitting there in a dark room with the TV on and a beer in his hand. And I was like, wow, honestly, that is one of the saddest things that I have ever seen in an entire Call of Duty campaign. It had a quiet sadness to it. It had an underlying tone of depression to it. It was crazy to see because those are the true cost of war. And I think that Frank Woods is a living testament to what happens and what the war can take from you. No matter who you are, how skilled you are, how tough you are, it can and it will break you. And we see it with Woods, and I think it was a beautiful but sad moment in the game. And it was a moment that I wanted to highlight today.